What happened to me shouldn't happen to anyone, but I'm glad it did. In the plush confines of Lumiere, a cafe where privilege dripped from chandeliers like honey, I watched as a little girl, Clara, sat neglected at a table while her mother, Victoria Bennett, a cold-hearted CEO, hovered away, too wrapped in her own world to notice. I was Jade Robinson, a waitress struggling to make ends meet, yet in that moment, I felt a pang in my chest, a natural instinct to reach out to that innocent child who couldn't see the beauty that surrounded her. When Clara spilled her water, I broke protocol, stepping into a role I had never imagined for myself. I knelt beside her, sharing jokes and stories, igniting a spark of joy that lit up her frightened world. As I helped Clara to a slice of cake, I felt proud and empowered, until I turned to see Victoria's steely gaze cutting through the atmosphere like a knife. Tack might miss to his office that day, the thrill of compassion quickly melting into turmoil as I faced termination. Yet soon a call came. Victoria's assistant wanted me at Bennett Technologies. While dread churned in my stomach, I felt something stir within me, the seed of possibility. In that meeting, Victoria revealed her cruel game, abandoning Clara to test the kindness of strangers. Refusing to buckle under pressure, I stood firm, battling not just for a job, but for Clara's future. Little did I know, this entanglement would spiral into a confrontation that held the power to reshape our lives entirely. Clara and I would fight for her truth, breaking free from the shackles of manipulation, ultimately discovering strength in our shared vulnerability. This was just the beginning of an unexpected journey of redemption, healing, and the raw power of compassion.
Excuse me, ma'am?
Jade hesitated at the edge of the table, her heart racing as she caught sight of the blind girl playing with her food. "Can I help you with that?" "Get back to work," Victoria Bennett snapped, not bothering to look up from her phone. "My daughter requires nothing from you." Jade clenched her jaw but noticed Clara's tiny hands trembling, a frown etching deep lines on her innocent face. "Clara, do you want some bread?" she offered, her voice softening. "Why are you talking to her?" Victoria scowled, finally casting a cold glare that silenced the bustling cafe. "Don't test my patience." Jade straightened, her breath hitching. She's just a kid. Did I ask for your opinion?" Victoria's tone dripped with contempt. "This isn't a charity. Keep your distance." Crushed, Jade turned back to the kitchen. But the image of Clara, eyes wide with loneliness, pierced her heart. She glanced back, and their eyes met for a fleeting moment, forming an unspoken bond. Take moments later, a splash followed by silence. Clara had accidentally spilled her water. Jade rushed back, breaking through the plush veil of privilege. "It's okay, Clara. I've got you." "Stop!" Victoria shouted, rising in a fury. "Leave her alone! You're ruining my dinner." "Mom," Clara murmured. "Not with her," Victoria hissed, her power tightening like chains around the girl's freedom. Later, in Kevin's office, Jade's hands shook as he laid out her termination. "You can't just touch the customers, Jade. You know the rules." "But I was helping her," Jade fought back, her voice breaking. "She was scared." "Respect the hierarchy," Kevin replied coldly. "Don't let your foolish compassion come at the cost of your job." Weight of despair flooded her, but a voice crackled through her phone, summoning her into a world of wealth and power. "Ms. Robinson," Victoria's assistant said, "we'll need you at Bennett Technologies tomorrow." Jade steadied herself. Inviting her into that world felt like a trap, but there was a glimmer of hope mixed with dread. She wouldn't stand down, not this time, not when Clara needed her. The air thickened in Lumiere Cafe as Jade Robinson busily maneuvered between tables, the orders from privileged patrons swirling in her mind. She spotted Clara, the blind girl, sitting alone, her small hands tracing the edges of the table as she awaited her mother's return. Jade felt the familiar knot of empathy twisting in her gut. Clara's doe-like eyes seemed to penetrate the opulence surrounding them, revealing an innocence starkly out of place amidst the luxury. Then it happened. Clara spilled water, the sound piercing through the hum of conversation. Jade's heart raced, knowing the rules, yet she couldn't ignore the quiet plea in the girl's voice. She knelt beside Clara, offering reassuring words, a kindness that felt revolutionary. As they conversed, Clara's laughter lit the dimly lit space, momentarily dissolving their disparities. But Victoria Bennett, the wealth-laden mother, returned with a glare that chilled Jade to the bone. "What are you doing?" she snapped, demanding Jade stop. Heart pounding, she met Clara's searching hands and shook her head softly, a silent promise that said, "I will not let you feel alone." Moments later in Kevin's office, the gavel fell. Her insubordination had cost her everything. But amid the chaos of her fears, Jade received a call from Victoria's assistant, an invitation to the corporate tower of Bennett Technologies. The next day, facing Victoria, the simmering tension exploded. "I left Clara alone to see if anyone cared," she declared, her voice devoid of warmth. Refusing the settlement Victoria offered, Jade felt power stir within her, igniting a fierce determination to protect Clara's dignity and future, no matter the risks. She caught a glimpse of the woman behind the CEO's facade, tortured, controlling, and ultimately very human. The naivete of her previous role melted away, replaced by a resolve that would change everything. Jade stood in the back of the cafe, heart racing as she watched Clara's fingers graze the edge of the table, searching for comfort. The rich aromas of pastry floated around her, but all she could feel was the weight of frustration pressing down on her chest. She spotted Clara's mother, Victoria, busy on her phone, the world around them simply an extension of her privilege. "Would you like some bread?" Jade whispered to Clara, kneeling down and offering a warm roll. Clara turned, her face lighting up despite the darkness enveloping her. "I love bread," she beamed, and for a moment, Jade felt a surge of purpose. "Hey, you're doing a great job." Kevin's voice broke through her moment of clarity, a warning embedded in his tone. "Stay in line. Remember your place." And stabilized, Jade's heart was no longer tethered to fear. "I understand that, but Clara deserves kindness," she replied, her voice steady. She moved closer to Clara, her protectiveness igniting a newfound courage. "Can I help you find something?" Jade's voice remained soft but firm as she stood her ground in the face of Kevin's displeasure. Clara nodded, and Jade guided her hand to the plate before them, knowing she was doing the right thing despite the stakes. After the incident, Kevin summoned her, but this time, Jade was ready. "I won't apologize for caring, Kevin," she stated, eyes locked onto his. "If you want to fire me, do it." Her phone buzzed, an unexpected call from Victoria's assistant. "We'd like to meet regarding Clara," the voice said. Jade's heart raced, a small victory blooming within her. Perhaps this was a step toward reclaiming control, both for herself and for Clara. "I'll be there," she replied, confidence threading through her words as she envisioned the unfolding possibilities. Jade stood in the clinic's sterile hallway, heart racing as she faced Victoria Bennett. The billionaire's polished facade cracked like glass under the weight of the truth. "You can't keep her like this," Jade had said, her voice steady, despite the storm of emotion swirling inside her. "Clara deserves better." Defiance, Clara clasped her hands in a tight ball, every inch of her body radiating the anticipation of her mother's response. Victoria, usually commanding and suave, suddenly seemed small, devoid of her usual power. The glint of arrogance in her eyes shadowed by fear of exposure. "I was only testing her," she spat, her voice rising. But the shaky edge of her tone revealed a far more vulnerable woman than the one Jade had confronted over time. With liberal calm, Jade continued, "Testing her? You've kept her blind to the world, both literally and metaphorically. How is that love?" The words hung heavily in the air, punctuated by the sound of Clara's breath, each intake signaling her fragile hope. Clara's voice cut through the tension, tiny yet fierce. "Mom, I want to see." Her declaration echoed like a breaking chain, shattering the silence that had enveloped them. The realization dawned on Victoria, her armor slipping away piece by piece as Clara confronted her, demanding truth at last. "No more lies. I want the treatments. I need to make choices." In that room, Jade felt an overwhelming tide of quiet authority sweep over her. As Victoria faltered, small indignities surfacing on her cheeks, Jade stood as a pillar of strength, the embodiment of wisdom that the richer woman had never grasped. Hours of heartbreak echoed in the stark contrast of their choices. Victoria, caught in an endless cycle of power plays, and Jade, who found her empowerment in simple truths and profound connections. The moment was electric, a silent triumph as Victoria's mask crumbled. The clash of voices faded into a poignant quietness, one where change blossomed. Clara's eyes sparkled with renewed determination as she took a step towards her mother. Together they crossed the threshold into a future tinted with possibility, a stark testament to the quiet strength of a waitress who dared to hold a mirror to a mother's denial. Jade left the clinic as the sun broke through the clouds outside, a soft smile illuminating her face. She had saved Clara, and in doing so sparked a transformation that no money could ever buy. The satisfaction of justice rested not in revenge, but in showing a mother the light of truth. Take. As I sit in this quaint cafe with soft music playing in the background, I reflect on a journey that began with a simple act of kindness. 6 months ago, I was just a waitress, struggling to make ends meet, when I saw the vulnerable, blind girl at the table. There was something hauntingly beautiful about her spirit that made me step outside the constraints of my job. I fed her not just food, but companionship, perhaps rekindling my own sense of humanity amid the harsh realities of privilege. Victoria, her mother, was a formidable figure, embodying both power and isolation. That day changed everything, not only for Clara but also for me. I learned how far I was willing to go for the sake of justice, even when it came with sacrifices. This experience wasn't just about confrontation. It was also about connection, breaking down walls that kept us apart. So, as I look back, I wonder, do you think I went too far? Have you ever stood up for someone and faced the consequences? Share your thoughts and stories in the comments. Let's explore how compassion can lead to transformation and understanding together.